Guys, so we're going to continue with text structure, and our next text structure is sequential. It might sound like kind of an unfamiliar word, but think of sequencing. It's describing events in order or explains the steps one must follow to do something or make something. You guys should be pretty familiar with this. It's similar as like a how-to writing. So for the example here, you need your peanut butter jelly knife. Next, you need to cut the bread. After that, you need to spread the peanut butter and jelly on it. Then you need to put the bread together, and then finally you eat it. So again, it's describing events in order. Often you'll see this in fiction and nonfiction. We're continuing to focus on nonfiction, but you'll also see this in regular stories as well, following kind of a timeline type thing. So some words you might see for sequential is first, second, next, last, another, then, finally, after that, and before, which are really familiar transition words for us. Again, they might not always be this obvious. Later on, 20 years later. You might see some other different signal words, but these are some pretty common ones that you will see. Again, it's in chronological order. It's in order. Our graphic organizer here kind of shows us this idea of connecting events with arrows. So first this one, it came to this, and then to this, and the arrows kind of keep us in order. Today you're going to have to pick out some major events and put them in order from beginning to end. I found a paragraph on soccer, and I will tell you your clue words aren't quite so obvious. They're a little bit more hidden. I'd say maybe look for dates. Your dates often put something in order with nonfiction. And in this case, what you're going to do is you're going to take your green boxes. Let me escape out of here so I can show you. And you're going to drag them over your clue words. You can drag and you can adjust, making them bigger or smaller to fit over your clue words. These are all transparent, so you can put them over the words and it's not a problem. I did the first one for you. I said it began. Soccer is a game that has been played for numerous years. Well, that doesn't really tell me anything in order. In fact, many people believe it began in England over 800 years ago. Okay, well, I know if I'm sequencing, if it says it began, this is going to be the beginning of my order here. So I know that is important. About 200 years later, about 200 years ago, let's see here, about 200 years ago, about 20 minutes ago. Any of those are going to be another clue word like, okay, this is when it happened in the early 1800s. Again, maybe a clue. It's a date. This is when something happened. So you're going to go through and you're going to pick them out, highlight them with your green box. And then you're going to take those events and you're going to put them into order. You're going to type in each box. They are a text box. They're highlighted blue. You can type. Again, I did the first one for you. I put some transition words in here or some clue words in here. These words are not found in the text. So you're going to take the information from the text and put them in order using these transition words. First, soccer began in England over 800 years ago. Next, so then you're going to make sure you go back. You already highlighted them in green over here, right? So you're just going to take them and put them in order. And then your last task here is you are going to give me a sequential, and we'll actually write them up tomorrow, a sequential order of how to carve a pumpkin. If you are totally confident on how to carve a pumpkin all by yourself, no need to watch the video. But if you're like, yeah, I might need a few refreshers, this link right here will lead you to a video on how to carve a pumpkin, and you can take ideas from there as well. Please, when you go to write this, when you go to write your steps, use your transition words. There are some choices here. You don't have to use these. You could use first, next, another, later, after that, finally, or you could get creative. In the beginning, or to begin, you need to. It's kind of up to you, but I wanted to give you this outline just to help you. I want to take a quick look, and I'll pull this up a little bit bigger for you. on a sequencing paragraph. So we have some signal words here. I don't have them highlighted for you, and I want to see if as I read you can find them. My science project was fun. I began by choosing to experiment with magnets. Then I checked to see which materials were attracted to magnets. After a while, I noticed that only things with iron are attracted to magnets. And the final step was to write a report that showed my findings. So you guys can see here, this kid is describing their science project in order. It wouldn't make any sense if he's like, the final step of my science project was to write my findings. After that, I began by choosing my experiment with magnets. He has to put the paragraph in order, just as if he was going through this science project. It's really, really, really important to think of, let's think of a life cycle of a butterfly. The steps need to be in order because it's a life cycle. You're not going to say, first it's a butterfly, then it goes into a cocoon, because it doesn't make sense. Again, with this, it's the same thing. These transition words are helping you keep things in order. So take a quick second and see if you can identify any signal words here. We have, I began by choosing my experiment with magnets. Then, after a while, the final step, so you could just say, I chose to experiment with magnets. I checked to see which materials were attracted to magnets. I noticed that iron was only attracted to magnets. I wrote a report. Okay, that is what they did, but it doesn't really put it in order. This kind of helps us move time. It helps us keep things in order. We realize that time is passing and things are happening, which is really important here. So using began, then, after a while, the final step is showing us how they went in order and how they went over time. Let's try one more paragraph really quick. It's important to know what to do if your clothes ever catch on fire. First, you need to stop what you're doing. Next, you need to drop to the ground. Then you need to roll around until the flames have been smothered. Finally, you should seek medical attention. So this one's based on stop, drop, and roll, which I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of. Again, it would make no sense if it was out of order. Well, finally your flames have smothered, and then you need to stop after you've already rolled, and then you need to drop. It's important, especially in nonfiction, when you're putting things in steps, you're going to have to follow the steps. Like the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you're not going to say, first you eat the sandwich, and then you put the peanut butter on the bread. These signal words really help us keep things in order. They make it easier to follow. And it tells your reader, like we said, text structure, it's written this way for a reason. We put these things in this order for a reason. So this is telling your reader, hint, 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 they need to go in this order. So hopefully I'll give you a quick second to see if you can find any of those structure words. Think of these words like stop signs, like we said before. Signal words. These are signaling you, hey, this is sequential. It's not problem and solution. It's not cause and effect. I know it's sequential because it's putting things in order. Please keep this in mind today as you go to do your own writing about the pumpkin. These signal words really help your reader understand what steps they need to go in. And when we go to do this about the pumpkin, it's really going to help your reader also understand, okay, well, I'm not going to say, first, oh, well, now your pumpkin is already carved. Next, cut the top of your pumpkin off. Then, well, now that you've already scraped out the seeds, carve a face. Oh, well, then you need to carve the seeds. It's important you keep them in order. And it's important you use these signal words to really let your reader know this is sequential. You need to follow the steps. So we're going to go ahead and do this today, and then tomorrow we're going to go and write our paragraph to kind of put everything together.